You ever have one of those days where everything seems like it's just out to get you? You barely dodge a falling object, your shoelace almost trips you down the stairs, and somehow, even the toaster is looking a little menacing? Well, Final Destination took that feeling, slapped a horror label on it, and made us all terrified of everyday life. What's up everybody, my name is Keelan, this is Kill the Credits, and today we'll be diving into my review for Final Destination. But before we get started, if you're new here, my entire channel is dedicated to all things horror. So if that's your vibe, be sure to hit that subscribe button and join in on the conversation. Now, why review a movie from the 2000s when there's plenty of other new horror movies coming out in theaters currently? Simple. Because death never goes away, and apparently neither does the Final Destination franchise. And with Final Destination Bloodlines releasing later on this year, I figured right now is the perfect time to go back and do a review for each of the 5 movies leading up to the new release in May. And that means this video will be part 1 of a 5-part series of reviews, culminating in a 6th review when Bloodlines comes out in May this year. And since these movies have been out for quite some time now, I will be getting into more detail than I typically would, so yes, spoilers ahead. So if you're new to this franchise, I would suggest watching the movies first, but if you don't mind spoilers or you just want a refresher, then stick around because this video is definitely for you. And with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about Death's blueprint and break down Final Destination. Our main character is Alex Browning. He's just a high school kid getting ready to go on a school trip to Paris with a bunch of his friends and classmates. Everything seems fine and normal for the most part until all of a sudden he has a vision of the plane exploding mid-air. And naturally he does what any normal sane person would do. He loses his mind. And after causing a scene, he and a few of the other passengers on board get kicked off the plane, and shortly thereafter those passengers witness the plane explode just the way Alex predicted it would. So now, instead of being able to enjoy croissants and go see the Eiffel Tower, Alex has to deal with the fact that death does not like to be cheated, and one by one all the survivors start dying off in ways that make Rube Goldberg machines look lazy. So the cast of this movie is actually pretty stacked. We've got Devon Sawa in the role of Alex Browning, who at the time is just coming off of his role in Idle Hands the year prior. Then we have Ali Larter, who plays Clear Rivers, Kerr Smith as Carter Horton, Sean William Scott as Billy Hitchcock, and of course, horror legend, Candyman himself, Tony Todd, which just his appearance alone makes the film 20% creepier automatically. And in my opinion, they all deliver solid performances across the board. But let's be honest, the real star of the film is Death and his impeccable sense of timing. So, what in my opinion makes Final Destination such a good film? Well, I appreciate you asking. To start with, the premise is genius. The idea that death has a list and it's coming for you no matter what, that's pretty scary. It takes the slasher format and flips it completely by making the killer invisible, but somehow even more sadistic. Another great thing about the movie is the tension. The tension is truly unmatched. They constantly play with your expectations, leading you to believe that a character is going to die one way, only to pull the rug out from under you and hit them with something completely worse. And then there's the death scenes. While some of the deaths are pretty quick, there are a couple in here that are just downright brutal. And on that note, let's go ahead and talk about 2 of them that really stood out to me. Firstly, we're going to be talking about Todd Wagner's death. So Todd is Alex's best friend and unfortunately the first victim to get caught in death's web after the plane crash. Essentially, he slips on some water in his bathroom, ends up pulling down a retractable clothesline that he had stretched across his bathtub. It wraps around his neck and he pretty much hangs himself accidentally. And what makes this scene so brutal in my opinion is how hard he struggles. He's pulling at the cord, slipping all over the bathtub because he knocked over bottles of shampoo and body wash. It truly was one of those scenes that was rough to sit through and watch the whole time. And then the second death that really stood out to me the most was the death of Valerie Luton, or Mrs. Luton, their teacher. Her death is just overkill. First, her computer explodes and a shard of the screen glass lodges itself into her throat. After that, she makes her way into the kitchen where her stove explodes, knocking her back onto the ground. Then, she's trying to pull a towel down off the counter to cover up her neck wound, forgetting that she put the towel on top of her knife block. So when she pulls the towel down, the entire block of knives fall down on top of her. And just when you think it's all over, another explosion in the kitchen happens, knocking a chair down, landing right on top of the knife that impaled her in her chest, and it impales her deeper. Like, to me at that point, Death's not just trying to claim her, he's showing off. And for me personally, there's something about watching it happen to a woman that just makes it a little bit different. I don't know why. Maybe because I'm a good person or something, but watching the violence against a woman like that it just hit a little bit different. So what are my final thoughts and what would I rate Final Destination? Well, for me, Final Destination is a classic. See, I was born in 99 and this movie came out in 2000. So I don't quite remember the first time I saw the movie. I just feel like it was always a part of me, if that makes sense. Not to mention it has a brilliant premise, great tension, and death sequences that stick around with you long after the credits roll. And it's the start of a franchise that has made thousands and thousands of people paranoid pretty much for no reason. Like, you're telling me you don't hesitate before getting on an escalator, getting on an elevator, a roller coaster, before you're getting off the off-ramp onto a highway? Like, I don't even want to go check the mail. I'm scared. And when a movie has an impact on you just like that, you know that they did it right. So with that being said, I'm giving Final Destination an 8 out of 10. But what do you think? Do you enjoy watching death creatively take people out one by one? Or did Final Destination crash and burn like Flight 180 did? Let me know down in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this review, be sure to drop a like, share, and hit the subscribe button so we can keep the horror conversations going. And that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. In search of a girl to call my own.